Welcome to World Affairs Chronicles, where we explore the complex interplay of global dynamics that shape our world. Today, we'll delve into the Philippines coastal conflict to better understand the geopolitical standoffs involved. Join us as we examine the key factors and major players in this ongoing dispute. The South China Sea, a semi-enclosed expanse of the Pacific Ocean, has become a crucible of geopolitical tensions involving multiple nations, notably China, the Philippines, the United States, Japan, and Australia. The South China Sea is a Pacific Ocean basin stretching from Singapore and the Strait of Malacca in the southwest to the Strait of Taiwan, which separates Taiwan from mainland China in the northeast. The area encompasses hundreds of small islands, rocks, and reefs, with a majority clustered within the Paracel and Spratly Island chains. Many of these formations are barely above water, presenting hazards to ships rather than viable habitats. The islands themselves are barren and devoid of fertile soil, which precludes the development of agriculture, grasslands, or forests. Yet, the surrounding waters are abundantly rich, brimming with oil, natural gas, minerals, and a diverse array of seafood. This area, laden with valuable resources and critical maritime routes, transcends its regional significance to become a pivotal stage in global politics, shaping diplomatic interactions and strategic alignments well beyond its geographical confines. The roots of the South China Sea dispute trace back centuries, with countries basing their territorial claims on a mix of historical precedents and international law. China's claims are historically grounded, extending back to the Xia dynasty nearly 4,000 years ago. Archaeologists in China have made a remarkable discovery that could lend support to a 4,000-year-old creation myth surrounding the origins of the Chinese Empire. The Xia dynasty, considered the first of China's ancient ruling houses, is believed to have existed from 2070 BCE to 1600 BCE. However, the dynasty's historical existence has long been a subject of debate. China's territorial assertions in the South China Sea are defined by the so-called Nine-Dash Line, a boundary that encompasses approximately 90% of the South China Sea. This line overlaps significantly with the exclusive economic zones of other nations such as the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei. The Philippines, leveraging the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, claims a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, including the Scarborough Shoal and the Second Thomas Shoal, areas rich in marine biodiversity and strategic value. Tensions escalated following a landmark 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, which invalidated China's extensive claims under the Nine-Dash Line. Despite the ruling, China has continued to assert its dominance, leading to numerous confrontations, particularly with the Philippines. This assertion by China has been a primary driver of tensions, as it overlaps significantly with the exclusive economic zones of several Southeast Asian nations, including the Philippines. To reinforce its territorial claims, China has frequently deployed its Coast Guard to patrol the disputed areas aggressively. In response to Chinese actions and to assert its own claims, the Philippines took a dramatic step in 1999 by intentionally grounding the BRP Sierra Madre, a decommissioned World War II-era warship, at the Second Thomas Shoal. This shoal falls within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. By stationing military personnel permanently aboard the ship, Manila aimed to establish a de facto presence, thereby bolstering its legal claim to the area under international law. The confrontations between the two nations have escalated in recent years, with the Chinese Coast Guard adopting increasingly aggressive tactics. These maneuvers have included the use of water cannons and military-grade lasers directed at Philippine vessels attempting to resupply the troops stationed on the BRP Sierra Madre at the Second Thomas Shoal. Such actions are intended to prevent the Philippines from maintaining its presence and to deter further resupply missions, thereby weakening the Philippines' operational capabilities and resolve in the disputed waters. These aggressive encounters underscore the volatile nature of the territorial disputes in the South China Sea and highlight the strategic importance of the areas being contested. The international community, including the United States, Japan, Australia, and European nations, has voiced concern and condemnation of China's actions, which are seen as destabilizing regional stability and violating international law. The United States, under the Mutual Defense Treaty, signed with the Philippines in 1951, has affirmed its obligation to defend the Philippines, an assurance that plays a critical role in the geopolitical dynamics of the South China Sea. This treaty commits both nations to support each other in the event of an external attack, which significantly amplifies the potential implications of any military skirmish in the region. In recent years, the U.S. has taken several concrete steps to strengthen its military and strategic posture in the Philippines, reflecting a robust commitment to deter Chinese assertiveness in the South China Sea. These actions include conducting joint military exercises, which serve both as a demonstration of military capability and as a means of enhancing interoperability between U.S. and Philippine forces. Notable among these are the annual Balikatan exercises, which have grown in scope and complexity, involving simulations of joint responses to various scenarios, including armed attacks and natural disasters. Moreover, the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, signed in 2014, has facilitated an expanded U.S. military presence in the Philippines. This agreement allows U.S. forces rotational access to select Philippine military bases, the prepositioning of military equipment, and the construction of facilities such as runways and storage buildings. The United States has also sought to fortify its network of alliances and partnerships across the Asia-Pacific region as a counterbalance to China. Strategic partnerships with other regional powers like Japan and Australia are crucial components of this strategy. These alliances are manifested in multilateral exercises such as the annual Rim of the Pacific (RIMPAC) exercise, the world's largest international maritime warfare exercise, which includes participants from both Japan and Australia, among others. These initiatives are not just about a show of force, but are part of a broader strategy aimed at ensuring freedom of navigation in the South China Sea, a vital international waterway through which an estimated $3.4 trillion worth of trade passes annually. The U.S. has consistently emphasized the importance of maintaining free and open access to this critical maritime domain, which is considered a linchpin in regional and global economic stability. Overall, the U.S. commitment to defending the Philippines under the Mutual Defense Treaty, combined with its strategic military partnerships and presence in the region, is integral to its approach to countering Chinese influence and ensuring stability in the South China Sea. This multifaceted strategy not only underscores the significance of the Philippines as a strategic ally, but also highlights the complex interplay of military, economic, and diplomatic efforts in U.S. foreign policy in Asia. Under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the Philippines adopted a more confrontational stance against Chinese aggression. Recent policies have included strengthening maritime security coordination and enhancing military capabilities. This shift marks a significant departure from previous administrations, which sometimes sought a more conciliatory approach toward Beijing. China has consistently expressed strong opposition to American military initiatives and alliances in the Asia-Pacific region, viewing them as efforts to contain Chinese influence and challenge its sovereignty, especially in the context of the South China Sea dispute. Here are some key aspects of China's recent responses to American initiatives. Diplomatic opposition. China has frequently criticized the United States for what it perceives as interference in regional affairs and matters that Beijing considers to be within its sovereign rights. Chinese officials have publicly condemned U.S. freedom of navigation operations, FONAPs, in the South China Sea, and the military exercises conducted with allies like the Philippines, Japan, and Australia as provocative and destabilizing. Military posturing. In response to joint military exercises and the increased presence of U.S. military assets in the region, China has ramped up its own military activities. This includes more frequent and larger-scale naval drills, the deployment of advanced military assets to outposts in the South China Sea, and the fortification of artificial islands with military infrastructure capable of supporting operations across the region. Economic and trade leverage. Beyond the military and diplomatic channels, China also wields considerable economic influence in the region. Beijing sometimes uses economic tools as part of its strategy to counter U.S. influence, offering infrastructure investments and trade incentives to countries within Southeast Asia through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. However, this economic engagement is often seen with suspicion, viewed by the U.S. and others as a means for China to increase its strategic foothold. Public communication and propaganda. China actively uses state media and official communication channels to frame the U.S. military presence and alliances in the region as threats to regional peace and stability. This narrative is aimed at both a domestic and international audience, seeking to justify China's military modernization and its assertive actions in the South China Sea. Legal and historical claims. China continues to assert its territorial claims based on historical rights and the 9-dash line, despite international rulings that have disputed these claims. By doing so, China challenges the international legal framework, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, which the U.S. and its allies uphold as the basis for maritime law and sovereignty. Countermeasures and direct confrontations. There have been instances where China has directly confronted U.S. military assets in the region. This includes shadowing U.S. naval vessels, unsafe maneuvers in proximity to U.S. aircraft, and verbal warnings against conducting operations in what China considers its territorial waters. These actions are part of a broader strategy to assert its claims and challenge the presence of U.S. military forces. In summary, China's response to American initiatives in the South China Sea and the broader region is multifaceted, involving a mix of diplomatic, military, economic, and communicative strategies. This complex response reflects the strategic importance of the South China Sea for China and the broader competition with the United States for influence in the Asia-Pacific region. Looking forward, the South China Sea is poised to remain a hotbed of geopolitical tension. China's strategic ambitions suggest it will continue to pursue control over this vital maritime corridor. Meanwhile, the Philippines and its allies, especially the United States, are likely to reinforce their military and diplomatic efforts to ensure freedom of navigation and adherence to international law. The potential for conflict persists, especially with the increasing militarization of the area by China, which has fortified several reefs into missile-protected bases. However, the strong international backing for the Philippines and the critical economic importance of the South China Sea suggest that a concerted effort towards multilateral negotiations could be the most viable path to a peaceful resolution. The South China Sea dispute is a complex tapestry of historical claims, national pride, strategic interests, and international law. As global powers vie for influence in this crucial maritime region, the world watches closely. The resolution of this dispute will not only shape the regional security architecture, but also define the future of international maritime law and order. In this high-stakes geopolitical game, the actions taken by China, the Philippines, and their allies will have far-reaching consequences for regional and global peace and stability. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back soon with another topic of geopolitical or geoeconomic significance. Goodbye for now.